Almost 4 years ago, I made a Jabba's Palace roll call video about Ephant Mon, Jabba's head of security. And if you haven't seen that video, I would recommend you go back and look at it because it'll give you a lot of good background information about the character and its creation, his appearances in the film, and also the merchandise that's been made for him over the years. There's not much of it. When I went back to look at this video again recently, however, I noticed that there were a couple things that I left out, or I guess more accurately, I just didn't know about at the time that I made the video. So I'd like to go ahead and add those right now. I mentioned in the video that I couldn't even find a good picture of the maquette for Ephant Mon, but I did not know at that point about the book called Star Wars Chronicles, and that has been a big resource for me when I'm making a lot of these videos. They have pictures of a lot of the maquettes, and I mean, the background information is a little sparse, but still, it's better than you'll find elsewhere, and it's often very difficult to find this stuff online. So I have now a picture of the original maquette, and I was able to figure out who sculpted it. It was none other than Phil Tippett, head of the Creature Shop and creator of so many of the iconic creatures from Jabba's Palace, including Jabba himself. The other thing that I learned later on that I thought was pretty interesting is that, according to Phil Tippett, he actually based the design of Ephant Mon on a platybelodon, which is a prehistoric proto-elephant, essentially. It's got a very distinctive jutting lower jaw that does resemble that of Ephant Mon pretty closely, so that was interesting to know. But of course, the reason I'm talking about this at all right now is that Regal Robot is going to be releasing their new Ephant Mon maquette in their archive collection. And, you know, a lot of people have been asking, at least in the Regal Robot Facebook group, which I'll put a link to in the video description, they've been asking when this is going to be coming because, well, he's kind of got an outsized presence among the archive collection maquettes just due to his size. You can see he kind of towers over most of the other maquettes. So here is the maquette itself, and I'm going to say right now I don't think it's possible for me to convey very easily how big it is, especially if you compare him to the other Regal Robot concept maquettes that have been released. He is noticeably larger, and it's not just height. He's 13 and a quarter or so inches tall. If you do it this way, you can see he's quite deep as well. So really, he has quite a presence that maybe some of the other maquettes don't have. Turn him back like this. I thought I might do a little quick comparison with a couple of the other maquettes that Regal Robot has released. We have Max Rebo here, looking almost comically small, actually, next to Ephant Mon. And then also we have Bib Fortuna. Now, you may recall that both of these other maquettes were also sculpted by Phil Tippett. So it's, I think, an interesting comparison to make. Again, I've said this before, but there was no, scale that they were trying to meet. The production concept of maquettes were just kind of made using random scales, and even, as you can see, the same person did not necessarily stick to one size or scale. But I think that actually is kind of a cool aspect of it. Not necessarily having them all, be exactly in scale gives them some personality, I think you say. And it is interesting to see someone like Ephant Mon here, who's a relatively minor character, let's face it, be so large in comparison with some of the other ones. In addition to being one of the largest maquettes in the archive collection, I would say it's also one of the more complex ones. He's got, the sculpted areas here, which on this are made of resin, but would have been just sculpted, I assume, in Sculpey or something like that when they were originally made. He's got this very sort of intricate cloak with, sort of sewn portions and intentionally frayed portions and things like that, a little bit of weathering as well. And he's also got fake hair as well. So coming out here on the sides, and he's got a little tuft of a beard coming out on the bottom. Very interesting. I think they did quite a good job on the paintwork. It's essentially gray. I mean, that's the main color, but there are a lot of variations in the gray. They have a little bit of weathering too, and it all kind of blends in together nicely with the cloth portions. One thing I did notice is that, and this is true of the original maquette as well, there is no legs here. There's no actual visible legs. In fact, if you were to, this is basically glued in place here, but if you were to kind of peek under his skirt, if you will, you'll see that it's essentially just a block, a solid block. They didn't add any sculpted detail there because there was none in the original figure. I asked Tom Spina of Regal Robot about this, and he mentioned that basically the original Maquette had just kind of like foam inside, and that's one reason why it's kind of starting to droop over the years. So for their replica, what they decided to do was essentially create a version that would allow the sculpted pieces to be, displayed at the right angle and in the right position. It might look like he should be holding a stick or a staff or something like that, which, the actual character did have in some cases, but that was not part of the original maquette, I'm told. Like most of the Archive Collection maquettes that they've been releasing recently, this is going to have two different editions. The actual maquette is going to be the same for both, but depending on which edition you choose, you get sort of a different pack-in item, a different plaque, and so forth. The Signature Edition, which comes with a signature plaque from Phil Tippett, is going to be limited to 83 pieces and will cost $899. And then there is also the extremely limited Legacy Edition, which is going to be limited to just 45 pieces, and that will include a signature of Phil Tippett and a piece of unique artwork that he has drawn especially for this product. That version will sell for $11.99. Both editions are going to be going up for sale on Tuesday, June 24th at noon Eastern Time. I'll put a link in the video description. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the one that came with mine. Let's move this guy over here and put the plaque right here. You can see we have Phil Tippett's signature, and up here we have one of 45 pictures of Ephant Mon that he did, which must have been kind of a challenge to come up with 45 different poses and different things to have him do. And here we have the artwork on my particular one. You can see he's used the same kind of tan background that he used on the Jabba plaque that I talked about in a previous video. Some of them, from what I've been able to see, also use sort of a bluish, greenish background, but this one is the same as the one I got for my Jabba Legacy Edition plaque. I think it's really dynamic artwork. Yeah, it's really cool to be able to get something like this from Phil Tippett, the creator of so many of these iconic aliens. Now, of course, Ephant Mon, not the biggest character in Star Wars. I'm sure that this product will have a little bit more limited audience compared to something like the Rancor or, Jabba himself, for example. And I think Regal Robot realized that, and they've set the edition sizes at realistic ones, for that reason. But I'm really happy that they have decided to make this at all. It's almost hard to believe that we're getting so many deep cuts into, Jabba's palace aliens and things like this. Now, they've got a number of these already in production, I'm told, and if you pay in full, you should be able to get yours quite quickly, I think. If you decide that you would rather pay over time, you can also do that. They have payment plans up to 6 months long, so you can split up the cost if that makes it a little bit less painful. Well, that's about it for the Regal Robot Ephant Mon Concept Maquette Replica. I'm really impressed with this one. I think they hit it out of the park. I'd like to know what you think, though. Phil Tippett, for his part, has given it his seal of approval, which is always nice to see. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you again soon.